Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from Throwaway Coffee Cat, and it says, "Am I the asshole for cutting contact with my childhood best friend because she demanded that I break up with my fiance?" Hey everyone, I, 21 female, cut contact with one of my closest childhood friends, Mary, 21 female, a few weeks ago. While I feel relieved she's out of my life, most of my family and mutual friends think I overreacted, and now I'm starting to second guess my decision. I'm going to put some rather irrelevant background information here. Mary and I practically grew up as sisters. We were neighbors and our parents started arranging playdates for us before we could even walk. From kindergarten to secondary school, we did everything together. If I wasn't at her house, she was at mine. I trusted her completely and never thought of her as anything other than my best friend. Things changed when Mary moved away for university. At first, I missed her, but over time, I noticed how much easier my life felt without her constant presence. I wasn't being criticized, guilt-tripped, or forced to justify my choices anymore. It became more clear how much control she'd had over me. Mary had a way of dominating every aspect of my life. She'd dismiss my hobbies and pressure me to quit them, and if she didn't like one of my friends, I'd have to cut ties. You could call me a pushover, but when you grow up with someone like that, it's hard to see the manipulation for what it is. Things really came to a head when I met my now fiancé, Dave, 27 male. He's amazing, kind, supportive, and everything I've wanted in a partner. We clicked instantly, and he's honestly the best thing that's ever happened to me. But of course, Mary didn't approve. She immediately tried to plant seeds of doubt, saying he was too old, he'd cheat, or he was only using me. Thankfully, for once, I didn't listen to her, and I'm so glad I didn't. In December, Dave surprised me with a dream vacation, and during the trip, he proposed. Everything about it was perfect. He planned every little detail. It was more magical than I could ever imagine. I was over the moon and couldn't wait to share the news with everyone. Naturally, I told Mary, expecting at least some excitement. But instead, she downplayed the entire thing. She nitpicked the proposal, saying how she would have done it differently and what could have been better. It stung. But I brushed it off and reminded her that it was my proposal and not hers. A few weeks later, we met in person for the first time in months. That's when things completely fell apart. Out of nowhere, Mary told me I should break up with Dave. When I asked why, her reasoning had nothing to do with me. Instead, she compared him to her boyfriend, Julian, 22 male, saying things like Dave makes more money than Julian and Dave can give you everything, while I have to work for what I want. It's clear she wasn't concerned about me. She was just jealous. She couldn't handle the fact that, for once, my life seemed better than hers. That was the breaking point for me. I told her to leave my house, and afterwards, I sent her a long message explaining how hurt and disappointed I was. I told her that her behavior was unacceptable and that I didn't want her to contact me again. Since then, it feels like she's told everyone in our social circle. Mutual friends and even some family members have reached out, saying I was too harsh and should have handled things differently. They said that's just how Mary is. You've known her your whole life. She's always been in the spotlight and gotten what she wanted. Some even accused me of breaking her heart and told me it was wrong to choose my fiancé over a lifelong friend. Even my mum said she expected better of me. And that's what's making me question my decision. Did I overreact? Mary has been a huge part of my life for as long as I can remember. Sure, she has her flaws, but we've also exchanged countless good times and memories. Am I throwing away years of friendship over this? Should I try to fix things, or was cutting her off the right choice? Since some people in the comments are claiming this story is fake, unfortunately it's not. I obviously can't prove it to you, but honestly, what would be the point of making up a story and posting it on Reddit? I've never used Reddit before and have no idea what karma is or why anyone would want it. And also, yes, I let AI correct my text, mainly because I was incredibly angry when I wrote it and just kept rambling. English isn't my first language either. Combine these two things and you can probably imagine that my original text was all over the place. And for clarification, I don't know what exactly Mary told my friends and family since most of the messages I received were pretty vague. I also didn't ask my mum what Mary said had happened. I was too angry to have a calm conversation after my mum told me I was being dramatic, which led to me yelling at her. All I know is that Mary admitted to asking me to break up with my fiancé, but I don't know if she explained why she wanted me to. Lastly, my parents raised Mary like a second daughter, and she's always incredibly kind in front of them. I guess that's why they didn't believe me. Maybe they're just in denial because it's easier for them to handle. I don't know, but I get it. Hearing something bad about someone you like for the first time can make you want to deny it. The most telling part of this story is when you went to university and you felt relieved that you could finally breathe without the constant criticism and manipulation from her. And I think it's very easy for everyone else around you to say, oh, you know, that's just how Mary is, because they don't have to deal with that bullshit, right? And I know it's always difficult when you're the one that's in the position, like we just basically mentioned. But as I've got older, I've come to realize that sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away when you're in that kind of toxic relationship. It doesn't matter how many years. If it's been a negative relationship for all this time, the best thing you can do for yourself is to walk away from it. But the Green Grace says, yes, you are throwing away years of friendship for your fiancé. Thank the gods. Throwing away a friend who bullies and insults you, who uses guilt trips and emotional manipulation, and who wants to control your life as if you were her puppet. Or for a fiancé who has only been kind, supportive, generous, and thoughtful, and most importantly, makes you happy. Upper assignment replies saying, this, and that's just how she is, reinforces cutting future contact with her. You need to have a hard conversation with your mum about why she's encouraging such a toxic person, and that she needs to be 100% for you if she wants to be included in your future. Remember, this is your future, and it's time to set boundaries for your well-being. Opie replied saying, my parents basically raised her as their second daughter, and she's always been incredibly friendly towards them. I'm not even sure if they know what kind of person Mary really is, and by the way that she's acting around them. I honestly doubt it. I've never talked badly about Mary in front of my parents before, so they're probably shocked when I cut contact all of a sudden. I guess my mum is mainly concerned that she won't get to see Mary that often anymore, and we're not going to rekindle. But all of this is just pure guessing. Last time I spoke to my mum, I got incredibly mad and I've not contacted her since. She tried to deny everything I told her about Mary, which pissed me off in the moment. But now I somehow get why she did it. You don't really want to believe that a person you consider your child turns out to be an arsehole, so you push your concern away and deny everything. I'm going to contact her again soon and see if she's changed her mind, since she's now got some time to process everything. If she's still of the same opinion, I guess I won't have a mum at my wedding. Rob says, good job. I dropped a toxic friend from my life years ago. He reached out 20 years later on Facebook and we went out for a beer. After talking to him, I realized he hadn't changed. I unfriended him and ignored all his attempts to get together again. Don't listen to anyone but yourself. Opie asks, was it hard for you to initially cut contact with him? No, because all the crap starts to pile up over time and you finally realize it's time to stay away. It's more of a relief than anything else, but you can't let that person try to wiggle themselves back into your life. It's a full commitment and a big weight off your shoulders. So Opie comes in with an update and says, quick sum up because this update is quite long. I visited my parents today and found out that Mary told them that Dave was cheating on me. My dad ended up believing me, but my mom is still on the fence and unsure who to believe. Also, everything that's irrelevant to the update is put in italics. So if you're only interested in the update, you can skip the italics part. And OP was clarifying some people calling the post fake, etc, etc. So I'll just continue for a bit that's relevant to what we're talking about. They said, I wasn't groomed, loved, bombed, or anything like that. My fiancé is an amazing guy who never forced me to do anything or rush me into marriage, like some comments suggested. I'm marrying him because he's the one I want to spend my future with. Of course, we could have waited a few more years with getting engaged and married, eventually, but what's the point in waiting when I'm, and he too obviously, is sure that he's the right person for me? Marrying at a young age, I'm going to be 23 when we're officially getting married by the way, isn't for everyone, but it's also not uncommon. For some people you simply have a feeling that's going to work out great, and when it comes to him, I have that. Some other people also suggested that my parents took Mary's side because they don't like Dave, which couldn't be further from the truth. They love him dearly and have considered him part of the family after a few months of us dating. I'd really appreciate if people who are considering commenting solely on my relationship would refrain from it. It's not what this post is about. It's not the main focus, and I'm set on my decision to be with him. You can think whatever you want about my relationship, but at the end of the day, you don't know either of us or what our relationship is like. But now, on to the actual update. We visited my parents around noon today, talked about everything, and tried to understand what had happened exactly. Turns out Mary was really telling a made-up story while sprinkling some truth here and there. Apparently she told people, or at least my parents, that Dave was cheating on me with a co-worker of his, which is why she told me to break up with him. She said that this affair had been going on for at least 4 months and that she knows about it because she'd seen them together at a cafe in a different city a few months ago. Let's assume this would be true. Why didn't she inform me or my parents sooner? Like, imagine your best friend's, back then, boyfriend is cheating on her and you know about it. Wouldn't you tell her right away? This is also why I can't understand why my parents, especially my mum, would believe her in the first place. According to her story, I got incredibly mad, kicked her out, and haven't spoken to her since. Now, some of it is true, as you should know from my original post. For one, her telling me to break up with my fiancé, as well as me kicking her out and cutting contact. However, the whole story about Dave cheating on me is something I've heard about for the first time today. Plus, it's completely made up. Just to remind you, she told me to break up with him because Dave's a better boyfriend than Julian, her boyfriend. By the way, I also feel sorry for him. I can't imagine how much she must push him around. My mum said that she didn't believe Dave was cheating on me, but was disappointed in me for how I handled the situation, especially since I couldn't have known Mary if she wasn't telling the truth. She thought that cutting off my best friend for being concerned about me was too harsh and that we should have talked it out. I've also assumed that she's scared to lose longtime friends when I cut contact with Mary, which also turned out to be true. Mary told her mother what happened, who just so happens to be best friends with my mum, and according to my dad, Mary's mother is mad at me for treating her daughter badly, and accused my mum of not raising me right. So there's that as well. After my mum explained what Mary had told her, I went on to tell her what really went down. The jealousy, the manipulation, the lies, all of it. Basically the things I've said in my original post, plus much more. She didn't believe me at first and said that I was blowing things out of proportion, that Mary had good intentions but simply didn't know how to communicate them well. I showed her some text messages between Mary and me, told her about past incidents, and my fiancé tried to back me up as best as he could since my mum wasn't listening at all and kept defending Mary. To say that I dug deep and told my parents about all sorts of things is an understatement. I even went as far as telling them about a sex incident. So yeah, I didn't leave out any details. My dad believed me from the get-go, but my mum kept going back to how great of a person Mary is and how she just wants the best for me. She also kept saying how I've never had an issue with Mary in the past. Not true, and that I'm now creating unnecessary drama because of a misunderstanding. Maybe I'm creating unnecessary drama, maybe not. In my opinion, it's necessary though. I've let her do whatever she wanted for far too long. At some point my dad simply told her to shut up and stop making excuses for Mary, so at least I have one parent on my side. My dad's always been a very non-confrontational person and never really stood his ground, especially when it came to my mum. But I found out that he thought that Mary didn't have a good influence on me growing up. He apparently also told my mum that he wanted to limit the contact between Mary and me when we were younger, but my mum didn't see his point and let our friendship continue. So basically, this whole issue could have been avoided if my mum would have put her friendship with Mary's mother aside for her own family. Great. In the end, my mum said that she'd speak to Mary and ask her if what I'd said is true, which honestly pissed me off. After everything I've told her, she still wants to crawl to Mary because apparently what her actual daughter says isn't good enough. She tried to justify it since Mary is her daughter too, and it's unfair to just hear out my side of the story. Alright. But you already had a heartfelt conversation with Mary in which she was lying to you completely. After she said all of that, we started a screaming match. I know, not healthy, but it honestly felt so damn good to just let it all out. To say that I cried heavily out of frustration after talking to my mum is an understatement, and I'm so glad that my fiancé was with me because I sure as hell wouldn't have been able to drive home safely. But on a good note, I got ice cream, and we watched my favourite show when we arrived back home, which made things better. I've not told my mum that I'm considering not inviting her to my wedding. We're not planning to get married until next year, so there's still enough time for her to make up her mind about who she'd rather believe. Plus, I don't want to create too big a rift between me and her. As for mutual friends who took Mary's side, I've decided not to respond to them. I'm not sure if Mary told them the same story that she told my parents, but I honestly don't care. I don't want to see Mary ever again, or at least not in the foreseeable future, and mutual friends would make that a whole lot harder than it needs to be. Besides, they're not my only friends or close friends of mine. Dave's also okay with me not running after them to clear his name. If this whole situation should leave this friend group and turn public, I'm going to contact them. But right now, we don't see a point in dealing with Mary's minions. That's something someone called these friends in the comments below my original post. Loved it. Right now, I'm just hoping that Mary messes up her story somehow and that my mum is going to see her for who she really is. While she's been acting absolutely disgusting towards me and basically chooses Mary over me in this situation, I think that I can look past this. It's my mum after all. Cutting off friends is one thing, but cutting off close family? That's a whole different story, and I'll try to mend things the best I can. If she's going to stay loyal to Mary, I don't know what I'm going to do, but that's not something I have to think about right now. Once again, thank you for your positive and helpful comments. I've read all of them, but they keep coming in at a rapid speed, and I didn't really know how to respond to most. Also, for those who went through something similar, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. I'm incredibly glad that, as far as the comments go, all you could find peace in your decision to cut off toxic friends out of your lives. Opie comes in with another update and says, I just want to say this in advance. I don't know if my dad was telling the full truth. I do believe him, but he might have exaggerated or left things out. It's entirely possible that he lied to a certain extent. I personally don't think that, but then again, most of the things he told me yesterday, I've heard about for the first time, and they make him seem incredibly innocent. Maybe he was lying. I don't know. This whole situation just makes me question who I can trust in general. So we had dinner with my dad last night and it went pretty well overall. We mainly talked about my mum and Mary. Apparently my mum has always been concerned about what others thought about her. But when she met Mary's mother, it reached a whole new level. Mary's mother often criticized my mum for all sorts of things. Her parenting style, her clothes, her house, you name it. Whenever it was something that my mum could change, she changed it immediately to appease Mary's mother. That's also why I was put into dance classes when I was younger, because Mary's mother signed Mary up for dance classes. One of many examples. So yeah, as most comments suggested, she's being pushed around by Mary's mum. Is she a narcissist? I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. One thing to know about Mary's family is that they do a damn good job at appearing perfect. Happy family, nice jobs, nice house, etc. I guess my mum bought their persona and tried to copy it. I'm not trying to trash talk the whole family here, but let's just say they have just as many flaws as any other family. Also, my mum was apparently talking shit about me to my dad, comparing me to Mary in basically every way, and she even said multiple times that she wished Mary was her real daughter. She also believes that I took her chance away to live her dream life. Fun fact, but according to my dad, my mum's apparently huge on family. She's always wanted to have at least 4 children. Ironic, I know. She had a pretty traumatic birth experience with me, and doctors told her that she shouldn't try for children again. Yeah, apparently she's blaming me for that. She then hoped that she'd get to live her dream through me. Basically, that I have a lot of children. Bit of too much info right there, but I've mentioned it in the comments a few times already, so whatever. I can't get pregnant, like, at all. Which means she, luckily, won't get any grandchildren from me. I guess she sticks close to Mary and Mary's mother because she hopes to be a grandma to Mary's potential children. It's honestly so creepy and messed up in my opinion, but well, we're talking about my mum here. I also feel the need to clarify that I didn't know any of that. My mum never said anything negative about me to my face. Sure, there were some comparisons here and there, but nothing major or something that had impact on me. It's always been just general stuff that parents tend to do, comparing grades, behavior, skills, etc. She's also never directly blamed me for her inability to have any more children, and never said anything bad about me not being able to conceive. This is all just stuff she apparently said behind my back. She's always been pretty alright to me. She most definitely wasn't the best mum ever, but she wasn't horrible either. Just a person who, in my opinion, shouldn't have had a child in the first place. My dad also admitted that he considered divorcing her a few times, but never went through with it because he was scared that my mum would get primary custody. He's currently considering it again, so let's see how that goes. As for why he never stood up to my mum, he genuinely didn't have a reason for it. He knew that my mum's never said anything like the things above to my face, so he didn't think he should tell me, at least not until I moved out. He didn't engage in these type of conversations with my mum and kept telling her to stop every time, which caused a lot of fighting between them. I knew that their marriage was messed up, but I always thought this had different reasons. Also, my mum reached out to my mother-in-law and complained about Dave, how he changed me and stuff, referring to me cutting off Mary and choosing my fiancé over my best friend. My mother-in-law, who's an absolute angel by the way, simply asked her why she's discussing this with her since Dave and I are adults. There's no need to contact her for it. My mum also told her that Mary said that Dave is cheating on me. She then simply told my mum, sounds like Mary's projecting, and hung up. I'm honestly so pissed that my mum tried to involve her in this situation, and I can't help but wonder if she tried to create conflict between my mother-in-law and my fiancé. Maybe she genuinely believes Mary and wanted to warn mother-in-law, but I guess that would be wishful thinking. For some background, my mother-in-law was a single mum because her ex-boyfriend, Dave's father, cheated on her shortly after giving birth. As you might be able to imagine, she hates cheaters with a burning passion, and my mum obviously knew that. So yeah, I guess my mum talked to Mary, who doubled down, and my mum decided to believe her. I was expecting that this would happen, but honestly, I'm really disappointed. I'm not even sad, angry, or anything, just absolutely disappointed and confused. I'm currently considering sending her one last text before cutting her out for now, but I don't know if I should give her the pleasure of receiving an explanation. I'm still on the fence about cutting ties with her in general, mainly for my dad's sake. Their marriage is rocky already, and although he's considering divorcing her, I'm not sure if he'll actually go through with it. Keeping in contact with one of my parents while not talking to the other one must put a whole lot of stress on the parent you're still in touch with. I quite honestly don't want to worsen my dad's home life any further. It's so crazy how I've lost so many people who I considered important to me in such a short amount of time. This whole situation also made me question other people, like my dad, a whole lot. There were so many people in my life throughout all those years and nobody said anything. Why didn't my grandparents step in, or my aunt, or family friends? I can't imagine that they didn't know about any of it, but then again, I didn't either. I also have no idea why I never noticed that my mum held some sort of resentment towards me. Shouldn't I have noticed? I mean, I've been living with her under one roof for 18 years, yet I never noticed or imagined that she actually doesn't like me. Also, yes, Reddit became my new diary. Lol. Opie comes in with another update and says, this is going to be a small update since not much has happened, but I still want to share this because I think it's quite ironic. It's also pretty late at night and I'm staying at a hotel right now, so sorry if some stuff doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I had a gig tonight and Mary's ex-boyfriend Julian showed up after the show. Yes, ex-boyfriend. He came up to me and told me that he broke up with her this morning. He then got free drinks for the rest of the night and we had an amazing time at the after party. I already mentioned in the comments, but I told mutual friends, who asked, not those who attacked me, what really went down between Mary and me. I guess they told other mutual friends and it got around to Julian. He asked her if my story is true, and Mary apparently got really defensive. After some back and forth, she called him an option that she's keeping around until Dave's single or she finds someone better. He dumped her right there and then. Mary must have spiraled after that because she texted me over a new Instagram account that said, I've ruined her life. I don't believe in karma, but this honestly made my day. Also, I've called my grandparents and they didn't know how my mum really felt about me, which honestly puts my mind at ease a bit. At least I wasn't the only one being oblivious. I guess she did a really good job at hiding her true sentiments. For my parents, I've decided to go low contact with my mum and keep in touch with my dad. He's not going to divorce her anytime soon for several reasons. I'm also still on the fence on whether to cut ties with my mum completely or not. While many people in the comments mention that they're not in contact with their families anymore, I don't feel ready for that. I want to have a conversation with my mum first, just so that I can hear what I've been told by my dad straight from her. But right now, I don't want to have that conversation. So yeah, I'm basically keeping her around for now. And another update from OP which says, I don't really know how to start this, so yeah. Mary hasn't tried to contact me again, but she started sending videos of her having fun with herself to Dave. There's been 3 so far and they've all been sent through different burner accounts. He didn't respond to any of them and we don't really know what we should do about it. He gets sent videos like that quite often, but it's usually just 1 video per person, not 3 in a row sent by the same one, which makes them easier to ignore and block. So far, he's obviously deleted all videos she sent him and blocked her on every account through which she tried to contact him. He hopes that if he's not going to respond that she has stopped soon, and well, I hope so too. It's honestly getting annoying hearing my ex best friend moan my fiance's name. I also met up with my mum today. She texted me yesterday and asked me to meet up. She knows that Julian and Mary broke up and also knows the reasons for it. I don't know how she's gotten the story. It apparently was a weird mismatch of Julian, Mary and Mary's mum. My mum was pretty distraught when she told me all this, and all of it didn't make a whole lot of sense. Mary told her this, Julian told her that, and so on. She ended up believing Julian over Mary for whatever reason. Maybe it was because last time I met up with my mum, I told her that Mary's interested in Dave, and that obviously matches Julian's story. I have no idea. I also don't know why Julian told her. I've asked him to talk to my mum after some people suggested it in the comments, but he seemed pretty apprehensive. I guess he ended up telling her anyway. Overall, she was very apologetic for not believing me and siding with Mary. She also asked me if Mary tried anything with Dave so far, and I told her about the videos. She's really mad at Mary and has blocked her number for now, and also wants to limit contact with Mary's mother, as far as I know, but doesn't really know how to go about it yet. They share a lot of hobbies and are basically in the same clubs, books, sports and so on. Typical late 50s mum stuff basically. So yeah, I guess everything's fine. I'm still going to keep my distance from her, but she seems very genuine about wanting to make things right. We're on a better path now. Still not great, but we're getting there. This might also be the last update, unless something big should happen. But if everything's going to stay the way it is right now, there's not much to update on. That is absolutely wild. The first post, it was all about, this toxic friendship, and then it just sort of like revealed layers of family dysfunction. And I worry if Mary's behavior is going to change. I mean, she's literally sending inappropriate videos to Dave, which is sexual harassment. And that was a huge jump in escalating behavior in that itself. And I think another huge heartbreaking thing about this one is OP learning about how her mum was comparing Mary to her, like almost wishing her as her real daughter for all these years. And although mum is apologetic and OP says they're on a better path now, some things you just can't unhear. And apologizing just doesn't wipe the slate clean. So I hope OP at the same time keeps their mum at arm's length. But wow, that was an interesting one. The way it just the only way I can think of it right now is like picturing an onion and the layers peeling back. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time, it always means the absolute world to me. And thank you very, very much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.